Hey, hey, hey.
Married to music.
Married to music. This is how we do it. Please don't lose it.
Every Monday.
Happy Monday, y'all.
Yes, we are.
Ain't nothing, don't nothing smell better than money on a Monday.
Okay. Money on a Monday.
Let's get this money on a Monday, man. And don't nothing feel better than marriage on a Monday.
Oh, man.
According to our podcast, because you know what happened on Mondays. If y'all listen to the last episode.
Mondays, date nights.
Marriage on a Monday hit different. Shout out to Marriage on a Monday, man. Shout out to Marriage on a Monday.
Hit different. Oh, man.
I'm shooting the club up. Tell the club up.
Stop. This is our holiday episode.
Happy holiday, y'all.
Happy holiday,
We'll be
y'all.
nowhere without family.
We will be nowhere without family. Jesus is the reason for the season. Yeah. Yes, he is. Oh, yes, he is.
Shout out to sweetwater.com.
That's for all the gospel heads. If you grew up in church, you know that song.
That's a fact. Shout out to Sweetwater, man. So today, I want to talk about these beautiful microphones that we're talking about.
I mean, don't they just sound great?
How does it sound?
So good.
It sound good? You sound good. No, man. Can you sing something? Let me just hear it. Can we?
I just sang a whole song.
Oh, yeah, you did. Y'all got to rewind it if y'all want to hear Lydia singing again, man.
You pay me to sing on the podcast now, baby.
Hey, man. Shout out to my man Hump, man. Shout out to Icon Clothing, man. I'm wearing a dope shirt. This is like literally high fashion right here, man.
Icons never die.
Icons never die. Icon, EKCEND.com. I know y'all can find some of this drip there. Shout out to my man. You know what I'm saying? U City legend.
Love it. Listen, your friends' brands are luxury.
That's it. Yo.
If you will drop a bag on some Louis or some Gucci, I know you better not ask a discount from your friends who have a line that is giving quality clothes.
Can't wait to ball out.
You better pay full price, proud to pay.
Let me get a couple of them, B.
Period.
Top of the food chain, you know.
Okay.
And it's luxury too. I mean, because I see my man. To me, he like Ralph Lauren. My man Hump. He like. But when he got that new drip though, he texts me like, "Yo, Wavy, this one I'm coming out with. I pull up on you." Be like, Ralph ain't gonna give me that respect.
He ain't.
You know what I'm saying? I can't get that respect from Gucci. I don't even know who make Gucci stuff or Louis, but they ain't gonna give me that respect. My man's gonna hit me up. I'm gonna get that new drip.
That fresh drip.
You gonna come deliver.
And I always like it too.
Man,
I really love the clothes. They're nice
notch.
And colorful, and
Yeah,
I like
man.
bright colors and
support your
stylish,
people, man, and be fresh. You talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I throw with the Griffies and matches. She got the green laces on there.
Okay.
All right, man, you know what I'm talking about?
I guess what is it? Shoe cam time?
Okay, shoe cam. Oh, I see Lydia with the mochas on. Oh. All right, you know we stay fresh. Shout out to Sweetwater though, man. It's because these mics is. I think we was talking about these microphones.
What we started talking about.
How we got there, but Sweetwater.com sponsors our podcast, man. They have amazing customer service when it comes to buying studio gear, podcast equipment.
Yep.
We got these beautiful SM7Bs that we talking in right now.
Don't they sound good?
That's sponsored by Sweetwater.
You can whisper and it still sounds so good.
Tell me, can you hear me?
I can hear you, baby.
Okay.
All
right. So we getting weird today.
Yeah.
This podcast episode, man, baby, we gonna dive in because a lot of people like they'll hit me up, be like, "Yo, Wavy, what's your backstory? I want to know, like, you know, what's your journey?" And I know people talk to you and ask you the same thing.
Yeah.
And so I think it'd be something special around this holiday time if we kind of share our backstories, our personal backstories.
Yes.
And then, so like the way I'm picturing is right, like you share your backstory. I'll share my backstory. We talk about the time up until when we met. Mm-hmm. And then we talk about from when we met up until where we at right now.
Oh, this is our How We Met episode?
This is the How We Met, the Wavy Way.
Oh, that's a big one on YouTube.
Special.
The way
the Married to Music
The
special.
Married to Music special on How We Met.
Okay.
Okay. Aww.
Okay, so I just want to, before we talk about how we met,
okay,
you know, I want to give people like an introduction into Lydia Caesar before you were Lydia Adams, you know, a.k.a. Lydia Caesar. Now you just a.k.a., but you used to be full-on Lydia Caesar.
Lydia Caesar.
So who is Lydia Caesar? You know, we know you from New York City and stuff, but what's more, man? Give me a little bit of how you started off? What got you sparked into like the music industry and in the field that you in right now, and a
Yeah.
little bit about your family upbringing and stuff.
Wow. Okay, so I am born and raised in Hollis, Queens, New York. Applause, please.
Okay.
Clap it up for Hollis, Queens, baby.
If we must.
We must. I mean, I love St. Louis, and I definitely rep Hollis and St. Louis, Queens and St. Louis.
Okay.
But Hollis, Queens has, made me who I am today. And I am the daughter of a preacher. I would probably say that's one of my earliest memories, is being what's called a PK, right? A preacher's kid. So I grew up with a tight-knit family. Right? It's me. I have 2 sisters and a brother and my parents, and we always have been very family oriented. Family night was Monday night every night for us. We always went on vacations every single August. So I'm used to like a really strong family dynamic, and also just not just my immediate family, but also my church family.
I know I used to joke on y'all when I met. I used to call y'all the
He
Huxtables.
used to call us. He used to call
Lydia
us.
family is like literally the Huxtables.
Whatever.
They all professional and stuff.
I mean, we're just like a tight knit family, which, sadly is like a thing it's like if you're like that in the Black community, it's like, it's
like,
so
what?
rare.
It is rare.
It's rare. And I that's something that I noticed too growing up, because like, you were not the first person to call us. They called us the Huxtables, and they also called us Seventh Heaven. You remember that show? Because my dad is a pastor, so
Right.
they called us the Seventh Heaven family.
Yeah.
So between the 2 of those is what I've heard my whole life. People always told me that I talked white, which is racist, low-key self-hating, right?
Absolutely.
Because I just like speak properly, so I sound white. That's terrible. But that's what I heard growing up.
The
too.
King's English.
Yeah, my mom was always she was always on top of that. She's Jamaican, and she speaks so proper, and she would always just say, "Excuse me, stop eating your words."
Nah, literally, you think that literally Lydia is exaggerating right now, but her mother
That's how she
could
talks.
be like a character in like a Disney movie. She speaks so properly, and it's
does.
like very, her dictation is perfect.
Very. So that's where I get it from. But I have a huge extended family, Bethel Gospel Tabernacle in Jamaica, Queens. That's my dad's church.
Okay, big up to the
Yeah.
to the tabernacle.
So his father founded it, Roderick Richardson Caesar, the first. Then my dad is the junior. My brother, who is now the pastor, is the third, and he has Roderick Richardson Caesar the fourth. So we are a family of history, heritage, legacy.
Nice.
And my church family has always played a big part in my life, and I learned what it's like to kind of be in the spotlight early on as a PK. I always I felt like it was kind of like pressure, because people expected me to be well behaved and poised, and I was always not that. I was always like
Abrupt.
My mother used to always, "Stop being so abrupt." I was always just wild, and I mean, the girl at the end of church where like my bangs were sticking straight up in the air, my stockings were not white no more; they were black. My outfit was falling off. I was just always I don't know. I was just always intentional about life and doing what I wanted to do.
So so that in a way though, that's kind of like what people expect from like a preacher's child, that
do.
they the bad ones.
They
you know?
always-
they the ones that's the troublemaker.
But we all weren't like that. And my older sister was definitely not like that. She was poised and well behaved and gracious, and my brother was also like that. I would say me and my youngest sister Elizabeth, we're both more of the wild cards, and we're both Leos, so that's interesting.
Leos is always trouble. If you know a Leo, you know.
If you know a Leo,
you're in trouble.
you probably love them, because we're also so lovable. We're just like the life of the party. But anyway, So I grew up in church, and I will have to say that being a PK and having to like be in the pulpit is what gave me my freedom on a stage, right? While the pulpit is for ministry, it was still my early introduction to being on a platform and looking out and seeing hundreds of people looking back, right? And it gave me like the confidence that I have to be on stage, because we would have to be in the pulpit. We would be singing and ministering. We would be like honoring my dad for his birthday. We'd have to do solos and poems and all kinds of stuff. So I learned what it was.
You was groomed. You was groomed for public lifestyle to be in front of the public, for people to be watching you, for you to be on stage. It was just something that was natural
because of my upbringing.
Yeah.
And my dad is, he's very, he's a pastor, so he's well spoken, and I watched him my whole life as a child. And then my mom, she's the co-pastor, so I watched her too in the pulpit speaking. So I've always had just a love for public speaking, and also just a love for being in front of people and expressing myself. The hard part was when I decided I wanted to be a performer, was that I didn't choose gospel music.
Okay.
And that was a little bit of a challenge because people in the church can be really judgmental. Not everybody. And I count myself blessed because my father has always been a preacher who taught relationship over religion. So I was never tied down by what people think you need to be. I always knew that, look, I have a relationship with God. Right? So I can sing about life. So I had every single argument when people would say, "Why don't you sing gospel?" I would be like, "Well, what do you do?" And the lady may say, "Well, I'm a teacher." I'd be like, "Well, do you teach the gospel?"
Not teaching?
Right? I would say,
you a problem.
And I was young. I was young at this stage, but I was like, "Do you teach gospel music?
Right.
I mean, do you teach gospel at school?"
I'm a mechanic. Well, are you working on the Lord's vehicles?
Because I wanted people to understand that even if I can sing songs about life and love, and that's gospel, like God is in everything.
Yes.
And so that's kind of like how I got around the whole secular music question, because I was like, y'all are all doing secular jobs. Don't come for me because it's music. People tend to treat music differently. But I've definitely won my congregation over time, because they realize, my faith is always going to stand, and the music is going to in some way represent that because it's in me. It's who I am, right? So I started to do music in New York and just perform at different events and make a name for myself in my city. And I would say I realized that I really wanted to do it when I was in high school, because, all my elementary years leading up to, I just saw the joy that singing brought people. People would tell other people, "Oh, she sings." And I would be like, why is this a deal to people? When I was little in elementary school, I remember getting the part of Joseph in the play Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. It was a Broadway show that we did in my elementary school, and I auditioned for it. Yeah. And they cast me as Joseph because nobody else could really sing. And I was like, wow, I got
You thought it was not a big idea because everybody in your family can sing.
Everybody, my
your
sisters
family,
sing, my
your
dad
mama,
sings,
your daddy,
everybody
sings.
And that's
and
so
then you're in the church. Everybody sings at church. So
I
you're like,
really didn't.
Y'all don't know nobody else that can sing.
But people would talk about this. From when I was small, they would be like, "Oh, she can sing." They would ask me to sing "Hero" by Mariah Carey, and I would just go around singing it at school. And I saw how happy it just made people so happy.
You should have charged them.
Well, I didn't know it.
You wasn't an entrepreneur yet?
No, there was no social media. There was no way to capitalize on it.
Okay.
I just kept singing the same songs, and even it translated in through high school, just the joy that it would bring people, Yeah. And even today, I try to go back to those moments, because there can be so much pressure around singing and being an artist, when at the end of the day, if you just remember that your voice brings joy to people. Don't put so much pressure on yourself to be perfect and to hit all the right notes and all that. Honestly, your gift is going to make room for you. First of all, it's going to open doors, but also it's a gift. Not everybody can do it. Yeah. And that's something that my early years in school taught me, this is something special, because people tell other people about it, and it constantly asked me to do it. So that's what let me know this was a gift, and that I need to be singing in front of people.
Yeah.
And so I started my journey in New York. I would say around 2006. Lord, it's been a long time. It's when I did my first showcase in New York City. And I won the showcase.
Okay.
Shout out to my first manager ever, Nigel Sparks, who is still a force in the game. And we still have a great relationship. But he went to high school with me, and he was like, "You need to be on stages." And he booked the showcase for me. He showed up to the showcase in a suit. He had my bio.
serious, huh?
He had, because all my friends were like, Nigel is not a manager. Okay, please. And I was like, well, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I was just really starting out. And he showed up in a suit and he had my bios printed out in like laminate, and he's giving them to people in the suit. We were like, he showed up, okay.
Shout out to the managers taking their job seriously.
Taking their job serious. And I would say that's when I knew that I could actually take this seriously as a career, because the response that I would get in the big city of dreams and lights and talent,
Yeah.
I was busting doors down and winning competitions. I remember I did Faces in the Crowd. That was probably my earliest, biggest accomplishment. It was a really huge showcase in New York. Shout out to Shalant and Jay Hatch, both still huge people in the game. Shalant just like moved to a whole nother like label, and Jay Hatch is the president of his own company, and he does does records in all the big cities, and they had the showcase Faces in the Crowd, and I won it, and then I won. I got added to the best of the best, and I won that, and I won my first big prize, $2,500.
Let me hold some.
This was a long time ago. Man, I thought I was like balling. I was like $2,500. And my manager was like, we're investing this right back into your career.
Okay.
That's what he said to me. And that's what we did, like we just shot more visuals and recorded more music and just really started to get my name out there in New York.
Okay.
And I will say, like, the journey had so many moments for me, so many ups and downs, like so many almosts. I did, the X Factor, which you were a part of at that point. Like, yes. I've done that. I've done The Voice, and I've made it far. Like the X Factor, they flew me to Miami, and I stayed at the Mondrian Hotel, and I was like, it was just like, I've had a lot of moments that let me know that this is what I'm supposed to do. Winning the ASCAP Collective as a songwriter, that was a big for me. Being asked to perform at the ASCAP Centennial Awards, where I got to meet Stevie Wonder. Y'all, Stevie Wonder told me that I was amazing. So don't nobody else
need to tell you?
Ever.
Okay.
I mean,
I
somebody
you're
that
amazing,
somebody, thank you. Except for
Forget Stevie Wonder blind. Now, stop the cap.
So I've had a lot of monumental moments. Also, a lot of disappointments because this industry is full of those, right? So you have to really learn you have to really grasp a sense of self-worth.
True.
First. Once you know what you're worth, the disappointments won't hurt as much.
And your worth can't be attached to like your status or a certain number of followers or a number of dollars or anything like that. Your self-worth has to be internal.
It has to be internal. Like, that's probably the biggest lesson, and especially now, because before, when I first started out, there was only like Twitter. I remember my manager telling me, you got to get on Twitter. I'm like, what is Twitter? Like, I was on MySpace,
right?
But like we all were. You had the top 8, right? Was it 8?
I think so. Yeah.
So there's always been some level of, because before that was Black Planet. So there's always been something that may make you feel less than if you weren't on the top of it,
Yeah.
So
what led you to that night at Tillman's when you were performing? How'd you get there?
Just hustling. Like what I will tell artists is that they always ask, how do you book shows or how do you get booked? Like, you just put yourself out there. One show is going to lead to another show. It's going to lead to more shows. So I was at the stage where I was just performing all around New York City. I was in studio sessions. When the calls would come, I would show up. Hey, we need somebody to write something, or we need a vocalist for something. I would show up. I would always just, like, really, the power of yes was really unfolding in my life at that stage. I was just out there.
Yeah.
Really putting myself out there. And I got booked to perform at Tillman's in New York. Shout out to Tillman's. It's closed now. But I got booked to perform there. I remember that day. I know. You guys will see why this is significant in a second. But I remember that day like it was yesterday. I had started out the day in a session in Brooklyn with my brothers, Flo and Kel. Shout out to Flo and Kel. We have a whole arsenal of records that we've written together. And I started out there, and I brought my change of clothes because I was going to change there, and Flo was taking me to the show. He was going to take me and also just come to the show. So that's how I got there. And I remember that show like it was yesterday. I had a guitar player. I did my song Summer Vacation, which is still out there. Listen, look it up. It's an oldie, but it's a classic. And there was this really cute guy in the audience. He was so cute. I remember telling my best friend, like, he is fine. But I was in a relationship at the time, and I was not cheating. So, it was just an acknowledgement of cuteness.
Shout out to all the non-cheaters.
Shout out to all the people who's not cheating. But I did.
rare.
But I did acknowledge that he was handsome, and the guy in the audience just happens to be
Wavy Wayne.
At that time, though, he wasn't Wavy Wayne. He was Heathen the Ears. Heathen the Ears.
You taking
Listen,
it back.
the church girl dating the dude who called himself Heathen.
I still got the tattoo.
He still.
I got a tattoo say heathen on my arm. Y'all don't even know about that, man.
That was his whole name.
That's
Heathen
everybody
the
that know
Ears.
heathen, man. You
That's
know what I'm saying?
you really know Wayne if you know Heathen. But shout out to who brought you there? What's his name again? I know
it
him
Kid Nice?
really. Kid Nice. I just
Was it Kid Nice
It
or
was
Sebastian?
No, it was Kid Nice. I remember because
it was
I didn't.
Kid Nice.
I never knew Sebastian, but I knew Kid Nice. We were supposed to be working on. He had sent me a track that we never wound up working on, but I knew him through networking and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's the one who brought you to the show. He trusts me to this day. He takes credit for our marriage.
He take credit for
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so Kid Nice, we was interning at a studio, and he's like, yo, we should go to this show, at some bar or whatever. I was like, all right, cool, you know what I'm saying? Let's go have a couple drinks after we done with our work. And we went to Tillman's, and Lydia was performing that night.
And I remember.
Yeah, and she was all googly-eyed after she seen me and stuff. And I was like,
My
yeah,
God.
you cool and all. You cool, I guess.
Listen, I could go back to the first tweet. Wayne was like, Lydia Caesar is dope. Okay.
Oh, so I tweeted you. I just wanted you to see
Yeah,
that.
you
I just wanted to make sure. I knew you ain't had that many followers, so I knew you'd see my tweet.
At that stage in the game, I had all the followers. You had none. So don't come for me.
You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, that's how I met Wayne, and we connected on like some artistry. Like we
Right.
followed each other like as just having respect for what one another does. At that time, he just had respect for what I did. But then when I looked into it, I was like, oh, okay, he's an engineer, and I guess he's pretty cool too.
Yeah, and I would come to some of your shows just to see you because I
Yeah,
like.
he actually brought a date to one of my shows
Dope
one time.
artist. I was like, yo, she tight. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I would bring dates to come and see you perform.
Okay, wait.
And,
So let's stop.
Okay.
Rewind. Let's talk about you. So now I talked about kind of what led me to that point. Let's start with you and your upbringing.
Before we got to Tillman.
Way before. I mean, let's start back with as early as you'd like to go and talk about kind of like what led you to music.
My name is
your early
Wayne. I
childhood.
like sports, and that's it. I mean, your story was so compelling and deep and stuff. I was like, dang, I should have went first, man, because y'all just heard this whole beautiful love tale about how the Huxtables came through.
Shut
and y'all had
up.
all this stuff, man. My story is like hella different.
Your story, but that's it's not less compelling. It's just different. I love that.
All right, so where do I start? I might have to settle in for this. So, let's see. So about Wayne, let me see. So I grew up in a family. My family was obviously different than yours. It was my sister, myself, and my mother for the most part. Like my father wasn't in the picture. My mother wasn't married. So my mother raised us. And she's a hard-working woman. She still is. She taught me everything I know about working hard and wanting more for yourself and your family, and having that drive. So she instilled that to me because no matter what she would say, I want my kids to be better than me. I want, she would always say that. So I knew that I always had to live up to that. That was something that I had to make sure I did. It was to be better in some way to evolve our family, right, in some kind of way. So that was definitely one factor that drove me. So me and my sister growing up, she's like my roller. She's like a year older than me. How old is? Yeah, she about like a year and a half older than me, kind of 2 years. So she was like 2 grade levels over. But like we would just be rolling, man. She was like my protector. Like I was her little brother. She like ain't nobody gonna. And my sister's a Leo too. Obviously,
Rah-rah.
shout out to Renita, man. But
Love Renita.
the type, she don't take nothing. You know what I'm saying? So
Still to this day.
Renita be barking on cats, and we young. I'm like 2nd, 3rd grade. She might be barking on somebody, and we rumbling outside because Renita barking. And I know you ain't say that about my little brother. I thought like, what? I ain't even hear nobody say nothing. Next thing you know, we got to fight somebody because my sister, you know what I'm saying, she ain't play that. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of was our dynamic. I love my sister and my mother.
2 strong women.
Absolutely.
God was preparing you all along.
They tightened me all the way up. You know what I'm saying? And as far as the music aspect, I had asthma as a kid, right? And I went.
That's just funny that you led with that.
I had asthma because the asthma as a kid, like my mother was very protective. She tried to protect me, you know, and I wanted to like play sports and do this. So the band came around, right? So it was time to sign up for instruments for in the 2nd grade for a program called Sunrise Conservatory, where you could learn how to play an instrument. You go to school a little early, and you pick an instrument. And for me, at first, my first instrument of choice, do you take a guess? What instrument did I want to play?
The drums?
No.
A trumpet.
Yes.
Did you?
Yes. Trumpet was my first choice.
I think I may have known that.
Right. I wanted to play the trumpet, man. And my mom was like, nah, you got asthma. Ain't no way you can play the trumpet. Your lungs ain't that strong, son.
A lot of blowing.
You got to blow a lot. Like, I don't think you can handle that. So I ended up playing the drums, though. So that's what I switched. That's what I went with. I was like, all right, I can't do no wind instruments. I ain't got no wind, apparently. You know what I'm saying? So, according to my Dukes. So I started playing the drums, and I got exposure to that. I didn't know my father a lot, but during that time, I think one of the last times I actually saw my father in person, I think I was in the 2nd grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was over at his house. And I realized, and this was at the same time that I started playing music too. And I remember that he was also a musician.
Wow.
He played bass guitar, and he had like this studio room set up in this apartment where he would practice his music. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of stuck with me too. That there might be some like a musical aspect to my family. You know, I got another cousin too, Dave's brother, who's like super. He's like
amazing
a piano genius. You know what I'm saying? He's like some savant. You know, at the piano. So like that kind of was in me, but not directly. It wasn't in the household. But the dope thing is, I was growing up in the house that my great grandmother used to live in. And she had an organ in the house.
Nice.
And
old people stayed with organs.
They had the organ.
Why did they have organs?
And the organ was tight because it had like the beat. It had like a beat. So you could play a little beat on it. And I'd be like making little beats, just like listening to it, playing around on the keys and stuff. And I'd be like, that was my thing in the house. Like I would be always on that thing because it had the little loops in it, had a little metronome, and you could just like play some music on it. So I'd just be over there banging around on that. And then also with that and being in band and marching band, music was just kind of surrounding me all the time. I was also a writer. One thing that I love words. I still do. I love words. When I would get in trouble as a kid, I would read the dictionary.
That was what you had to do, or
nah, that's just what I would do because I couldn't do nothing else.
I got it.
If I had to just stay in my room, I couldn't watch TV or play video games or whatever. I had a Webster dictionary in my room.
Wow.
And like I told you, I was living in this house that my great grandmother had lived in. She passed away and we moved in. A lot of her stuff was still in the house. Dictionary. She had this whole Webster, this encyclopedia.
Oh
set.
Man, we had that too.
Whole encyclopedia
the
set.
Britannica set.
Yeah, and she had every edition. Like, and I was just fascinated by this stuff. Like, I would literally be just sitting in my room with all these books and all these in the dictionary and stuff, and I'd be like learning words.
That's crazy. And that's how you used to have to do assignments. You have to look through the encyclopedia.
And luckily, we had it at the house. So most kids had to go to
the library.
But yeah, since we lived in this house, like I had
All that
the
stuff.
encyclopedia there, had dictionaries in there, had this, you know what I mean? So that was tight that we had that. And then I had this fascination with words which led to me doing like poetry as a kid. So I would like write poems and stuff, which got published in the 4th grade. I got published into a poetry book
Nice.
for writing a poem. It was a poem I wrote about America. So my 4th grade teacher inspired me to
About America.
America, 'tis of thee. So
My, how things have changed.
I love this country though, man. It's definitely the land of opportunity and the home of the free and the brave.
Woo! Opportunity for sure. I don't know about the free part, but
It's the land of opportunity, man. Yes, and the home of the feast. Did I say
Home of the
free?
feast.
I said the home of
you
the
meant
feast.
fees?
I said the home of the feast.
Facts. Clap that up. No.
Let me clap it up. Yeah. And the cash register at the same time.
Perfect.
But yeah, what was that? So I would write these stories, right? And so I'm growing up, of course, like still at the same time is for the most part it's just me, my mother, and my sister. You know, we had, you know, my mom had a few relationships as we were growing up, a couple relationships, but it was never like nothing that was everlasting that like took off to where like stepdaddy, like,
Right. None
like
of that.
I'm always be like, look, I ain't never called a man daddy. Like,
Right.
ever. I ain't ever. I mean,
Oh,
like,
except for my dad. You call him Pops.
I call him Pops.
Right.
Right. Like, that'd be the closest. I'd be like, Bishop.
Right. That's the closest ever gonna
Pops.
come.
What's up, Pops? You know, Daddy. Oh, no, I ain't never did that.
Yeah,
But
it's a little late for daddy.
It's
now.
a little late for that.
Yeah, it's a little
I do got stepdaddy now. Shout out to Milton, man.
Shout out to Milton.
Shout out to my guy, Millie.
We love Milton. I always call him your stepdaddy.
Stepdaddy,
Always.
stepdaddy. But that should be the joke, though, because my homies, you know what I'm saying? You know, we grew up, pretty much all the kids on our block, we ain't had, our daddies wasn't there. We like single mother households.
All the kids.
Pretty much, yeah, all my friends and stuff, we like single mother households, right? But then whenever somebody mama had a boyfriend or something, and we were playing outside, we seen them going in, we'd be all like, stepdaddy. Look at your stepdaddy, boy.
Yo, I can't. That is hilarious.
Oh man, so that's how we was. But I love music. My poetry evolved into we around that time where Nelly was blowing up and stuff, you know, younger, middle school. So it evolved into me rapping.
Of course it did.
And
You're a young
getting
black
off
man.
onto the mic. And then, you know, I had already was experimenting with beats and stuff like that. So I started making my own beats, started rapping. And then, you know, at one point, I was like, man, my mother, again, she was serious about school. And I was always pretty good student. You know, honor roll student for most of my school career until I kind of got to high school. And then what they say, you start smelling yourself.
Mm-hmm. You start goofing off.
Yeah.
You start
They used to
messing with
just
them
tell
little
me I was
girls.
smelling myself. And so I wasn't.
That's because you was cute.
But I also wasn't.
Got them dimples.
But I was, you know, I was realizing that, like, it was like kind of this whole school thing was kind of a sham. You know what I'm saying? The whole way that the system is kind of ran is kind of a sham. I'm like, man, I don't really see myself going down this path. Like I did before. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm this kid. And then like as life, you grow up and you see stuff for what it is. I'm like, oh man, like this ain't really what they made it out to be.
I agree.
And so I wasn't interested no more.
It's amazing that that's the age though. That's when, because high school is when you start to really think about things.
Yeah.
Because I started to feel the same way too. Like I don't need to know this math. This math is not going to serve me in my life.
Yeah.
I'm not doing nothing with this.
None of that.
So yeah.
I'm like, man, this is all for what? Like y'all all putting on a show. You know what I'm saying? Like even to go to, I'm gonna step back some too, because when I was young, we did used to go to church too. Mm-hmm. And so like there was an issue that happened at the church, like to where I was into the church, and I found that the pastor of our church was stealing money.
Jesus.
When I was young. And I'm like, bro, so like you bringing us to church all the time. I'm sitting here listening to this dude, and he's a thief. Crook.
He's a thief. Y'all, this is deep. The church has.
So I'm like, this is a sham too. So I'm like, this is a sham. School is a sham. What is real? Where is there solid people at?
That's terrible.
Like, what's real? So
What's that pastor's name? Air him
I ain't gonna
out.
put him out there, man. He
Air him out.
He had his road to redemption, and he was after a while he came back to the church. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
I ain't gotta throw him out there like that.
Okay.
But you know who you are.
You
I just want to let you know.
Ooh, Lord,
But
help him,
and obviously
Lord.
later in life, I learned to separate the message from the messenger,
Yes,
right,
so
and realize
important.
that we hearing stuff from people. People are flawed, right? We
Period.
shouldn't be putting no person up on a pedestal,
Yes.
besides ourselves, and realizing that
Relationship
it's all
over
up in us,
religion. Yes, yes.
So that was another part too, like to that kind of just to show like a juxtaposition of where we come from with our
How different?
upbringings,
How different we are.
how different things have been. So that's that threw me off for a loop then too. But yeah, so I was always pursuing music. I always knew that some kind of way I had to be a part of something musical. I didn't really see myself doing much else. So that's also why I was getting away from, doing what I needed to do at school, because at the same time I'm making music in school. I'm popular for it. The kids know me at school. Everybody know I rap. I'm putting out mixtapes while I'm in high school and stuff, making beats and stuff. Like everybody know, like, yo, Wayne make music. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I'm like, all right, forget everything else. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know there's gonna be something here. I was also fortunate enough to be to move to a different school. So U City is like the school that I went to. I went to U City School District for most of my school year. My junior and senior year, but before that, so first we was living in the hood. We was living in North St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? I used to get bussed out to a school through desegregation programs. It had to take like over an hour to get to school. And then we was going to like what they called a magnet school back then. So that was my first thing. And these schools was like all hood kids, you know what I'm saying, at these schools. And then next, my great grandmother died, so we got to move to U City. Was like a medium, like it's a middle ground between, moving on up and now you out the project. So it's like
Right.
middle class neighborhood, right? So that's where we at then. But then I got in trouble at U City. Got kicked out. My mom wasn't having that. She like the amount of time that they wanted me to stay out of school for a fight that my sister got me into.
Uh-oh.
Somebody had walked up to me in the hallway like, man, your sister said da 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 da. I was like, what my sister said? What? Ever come and tell me what my sister said? You know what I'm saying?
Lord.
So that's how we was at then. So now they was trying to give me like 180 days out of school.
What's the point of that? These schools are so stupid.
You know what I'm saying? So my mom was like, ain't no way.
Let's make him worse by leaving him out of school for 180 days.
She
That
withdrew
sounds
me
smart.
from the whole school district, put me into another school district where my grandparents lived at. And so then I went to Ladue. When I went there, I got to see like top tier. This is where
they're learning.
everybody, they learning everything they ever wanted to know. Like they had school weather program, like weather station and news station and radio station in the school. So literally I went from there. I'm already interested in mad stuff. My first day, I'm in a music tech class where I'm learning how to make beats in school, getting a grade for it. I'm like, yo, I was already doing this at the
crazy.
crib. I can't believe they got these people in the school doing this. So I'm learning how to use computer programs to do MIDI sequencing in high school.
You see how they do us? You see how they do us in our schools?
And then I go to another class.
You ain't even got a textbook in the black schools, but you
I
go
leave
to the
that
white
class.
schools.
I leave that class. I go to learn how to use iMovie. I learn how to use Photoshop. I learn how to do all this stuff in high school. I didn't even know, like, before I didn't even know this stuff existed.
By the way, this is the school our kids go to because we know better.
Absolutely.
You know better, you do better.
Yeah.
Teach your kids about them hood schools.
Man, so I'm going to school and I'm learning all this stuff in high school. I'm like, bro, and this is exactly what I want to do. So now I'm really locked in. I'm spending all my time in the VTC. That's what like the tech center or something like that, whatever they call it. It's like I'm spending all my time there. I'm recording mixtapes at school. I'm dropping all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I was positioned for that. But after high school over, you got to make a choice. Like rap, to me, it wasn't a viable career path. Not for, I don't know, my mom wasn't going to accept that.
Right. You better
I
find
wasn't going to
something
be like,
else.
oh, I'm a rapper.
Okay. What else?
What time you go to work though?
Right.
Or you gotta get up out of here. Like my mom was, she raised up on that. Like when you 18, you gotta get out. Or if you ain't going to college or you know what I'm saying, got a job, like you gotta get out when you're
Wow.
18. You can't sit around.
Yeah.
So I had to do something. Like, all right, cool. So I'm gonna go to college. I'm working a job in McDonald's at the same time, and I'm going to community college. End up stopping that at some point.
Because you saw an ad on the back of a
Well, I had been locked into Full Sail
okay.
all through high school,
Okay.
but I never really and I would be in contact with them. I did reply to an ad in the back of Source that got me like on Full Sail's like calling list, right?
So they would call you, blow
They
you
would
up.
call me and talk to me from the admissions department. And it wasn't until like I had to graduate high school. I had already spent a year like out of high school, going to community college, and I was taking a music class at the community college. But you also had to do all this extra stuff,
Math and science.
yeah,
and English
algebra, all that
Yeah.
stuff, 7 in the morning. So I didn't want to go to that. And then the music class was like at night, so I would go to the music class. And I wasn't going to the algebra class
Right.
and stuff like that.
Showing up for music.
Yeah, I'll definitely 6 p.m. I can do 6 p.m. 7 a.m. I don't know
7
if I
a.m.
can
math?
do 7 a.m. algebra.
I'm gonna
I
pass.
can do 6 p.m. music though. So, but once the music class was over, then I ain't really have nothing else. But so I was like floating for a minute until I floated into some trouble one night. And there was something that was like ongoing, and this night was like a life-changing night. Like some cats like shot up my car. We had like this whole shootout on the highway type of thing happening.
Jesus.
And
2 different lives, y'all. I was living the.
I got homies that's in jail right now because of things that started that night.
Wow.
And it was a spiral. I was literally, my car shot up sitting outside my mama's house the next morning when I come outside, and I'm like looking at it and like knowing everything we had to do. Like I'm literally to where I'm ducking, running through bushes. Like after everything, like boom, I'm running through bushes. I'm hearing coming through the leaves. So like we had a choice on what we was gonna do. And I knew people that had been to jail before. I know people that done died in the streets. So it was like, damn, Wayne, like this where now you at this same crossroad to where you gotta choose. Are you gonna die in the street or are you gonna go to jail?
Right.
And so I chose to not. And it was like crazy. It seemed like that same day I answered the phone. It was a house phone. And it was full sale. They was like, yo.
We trying to get you up out the hood, brother.
They was like, yo, you still interested in coming to full
You coming
sale?
to Florida
we can
or
get
no?
You approved for the loan and all this, blah, 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 blah. I was like, man, take the phone. I think we should get on this. And so like, we went through the paperwork. I did everything I needed to do. I ended up going to full sale. I sold my car, everything. And clothes, shoes. I was like, look, I need every dollar I can get. I was working overtime for the next couple of weeks. I'm like, yo, I'm out of here. This ain't it, So I did that.
Choices.
And then full sale was popping.
Of course.
It was like, oh man, this is exactly where I need to be.
All music,
I had to get
all the
hell out of
time.
this environment.
Yeah. And it was warm. You were in Florida.
I'm in Florida.
Man,
I'm
you
from
was
St.
feeling
Louis.
good. Man.
I'm like, I got a whole new life now. Dang.
Hey.
You can be anything you want to be.
Right.
Like, hey, you can literally be anything you want to be. And so, like, I'm chasing these dreams, like, because for real, it's like, I realized that I ain't got nothing to lose. Well, I ain't had nothing to lose in life. So it was like, I can chase whatever I want to. I'll go wherever I want to. I'll risk everything I have because at the end of the day, like, I saw what the other option of not risking was.
Yeah.
It's like, you still risking. You still risking it all.
Yeah.
If you stay, if you don't do nothing, you risking it all.
All of it. And for nothing.
Right, for no gain. So I must as well risk it all for the
gain.
possibility of the gain.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what I did. I went to Full Sail, did my education down there. I ran into some bumps in the road down there too. Bumps in the road just seem to be following me.
There's bumps on all the roads. No matter what the road is, it's gonna be bumpy sometimes.
It was a little bumpy road, man, but we definitely made it through. We made it through Full Sail.
Yeah, you graduated and everything.
Graduated Full Sail with honors at the top of my class. Won like the top
Who's
awards.
surprised?
Won the top awards that you could win at Full Sail. You know what I'm saying? Me and my boy 3D Darius and real early, another St. Louis cat that I linked up with while I was down there. But yeah, so I left Full Sail and went to New York City.
Ooh.
Give it up for New York.
Now we get into the good stuff. He came, he did like Coming to America. He needed to come to Queens to meet a queen. Now let me
Had to come to Queens to meet a queen. But I was in Manhattan when I met the queen.
Yeah.
But New York was dope to me. I knew I wanted to explore life outside of hip hop. Like my homie Darius, we was roommates and we was in Florida for a point in time, and we were like, you know, we was gonna ride together in our careers. We would be doing so much working together, but we ended up splitting paths. And he went to Atlanta, became wildly successful, and then I went to New York. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? I'm mildly successful.
Shut up.
But at least I got a baddie out of the deal. So I went to New York and I started working and interning in Quad Studios, which is where I met Kid Nice. Nice. And through like me working at there and Kid Nice, that one night we was hanging out. He was like, "Hey, let's go to Tillman's," and then you were there, and it was just me and him that night.
Yeah, I think so.
So.
Wow. And so that's how our paths kind of led us to.
That's how our worlds collided.
Man, two totally different worlds and different paths, which is amazing. I think that's what makes life so special and spicy, is just the differences, you know. And then that makes everything different. That what you bring to the table is different from what I bring to the table,
right?
Because of everything. So when I met Wayne, he told me. So, like, you know, we both in relationships, but time had passed, and next thing you know, we're both out of our relationships. And then I actually slid into his DMs on Facebook.
She definitely slid in.
I have those, and I still have those Facebook messages.
What's up with women always saving messages?
Oh my God, they're so. I look back at them and I'm like, I love them. I love. If y'all want to see these messages, let me know. I'll put them out there. If enough of y'all are like, I want to see them, I will show y'all.
She's not putting it out.
I already have, actually. They're on Twitter. It's just they just didn't get that many likes and shares, but maybe now they will. No, but I slid in his DMs like, "Hey, are you single?" Because I had become single and I wanted to just date around, and I remembered his cute face, and he said, "Yeah," and then we met up, and started dating. And we fell for each other pretty quickly.
Walk me back home.
Yes, that's when I wrote.
How the song go?
That's around the time I wrote the song "St. Louis" about him, because I'd never met anybody from St. Louis before.
This is like the next day after the date.
This was literally like maybe
a week later.
Yeah, it was early. It was real early.
My cousin Dave was living in New York too, man. I was with him. She sent me the song. I was like, "Yo, Dave, man, what you think about this?" I played him the song. He's like, "Yo, man, she crazy." She's like, "How long you know her?" He's like, "Yo, Wayne, you got to be careful." Like, this is my other cousin giving me some solid advice, man.
No, I was actually just creative.
Right.
And I wasn't
using me as a muse.
I wasn't infatuated alone. Look, hey, you was on it.
Oh, okay.
You was on that.
I never denied that I would.
He was claws. And I mean, the way we talked all the time, it'd be all night up until the early morning. We just be jonesing on the phone. You know how you used to talk to people for real?
Falling asleep on the phone?
Falling asleep on the phone.
Nah, I ain't sleep. Okay. Yeah.
All that. We literally did all that.
FaceTime came out. We broke FaceTime. Man, we would be FaceTiming everywhere.
For real. But yeah, we built our relationship in the concrete jungle, hanging out all throughout the city, doing all kinds of walking up and down. We would walk for miles in the city, just really enjoying each other.
Riding bikes through
the city. We did a lot of really fun things. And then we also built our work relationship in that city as well, because the studio Wayne would work at, we would meet up at 4 or 5 in the morning after he was done with his sessions and just write and record records together.
That's how your first album came together.
Caesar, half of it got recorded in the studio in New York that Wayne worked out of.
Yeah, and this we was definitely we remember that studio in Brooklyn that we ended up booking to mix the album. I think like that's when our relationship like was really like coming together, because we spent like every day together
mixing that
in that studio, like mixing it for like a week or two or something like that.
I'll never forget. That is the year. That was like 2011 or 2012, and that was the year St. Louis won the World Series.
Yeah.
And we were mixing the song St. Louis.
Yes.
And I'll never forget the owner of the studio was like, because when you're mixing, you just hear the song over, and he was like, "Did you write this? You need to get this to the St. Louis Cardinals. They need this song. This is crazy." Yeah. But yeah, that definitely helped our bond grow, working on that, working on my first album, which is so much like, it's my baby, but it's just as much your baby.
Oh, for sure.
You mix all those songs.
I mean, to me, that was mixing those songs, like that experience, it was like super special. To me, it's like I don't think that moment has been recreated yet. It was just like such a time to where we were free to just lock completely in on the music and that's all that mattered at that point. Like in those days,
I know it's so weird. Like it makes me like emotional when I think about it. Yeah. I don't know. Like it's just like a memory, you know, that will always live with me because it was, like you said, just such a special
eating from the bodega up the street.
It was such a special time. I was so proud of those records. You know, I knew I was about to blow up.
Matter of fact, I still got the same monitors. Those KRKs, I took those KRKs to that studio in Brooklyn because I like those, my KRKs. I got them right here today in the podcast studio. Those are the same studio monitors.
Oh, clap it up, clap it up.
Clap it up for KRK.
I love that.
You can probably get you a pair of KRKs. That's sweetwater.com, who's one of the sponsors.
Of the podcast. So I mean, I guess that's our how we met story. Right. It's been, if you actually watch the last episode, it kind of picks up where this
one leaves off.
Where this one leaves off. Okay. We've just been really going at it ever since, just like creating the life that we want together. Yeah. Which is highly recommended, right? You don't have to just let life happen. You can choose, guys.
Now, I want to talk about one thing, though, because you was talking about this before we started recording, like something about the time when I first met your parents.
Family.
So as much as I remember, man, is that I know it was Beth's birthday. Mm-hmm. And, okay, so we met in June. Right?
Yeah, we met in June.
And well, like we started dating in June. That was like our first date. Mm-hmm. And then that August is
July. July 28th is Beth's birthday. So
dang. So like a month later.
Yeah, it was
because we was like since our first date we was together every day.
Every day.
So like by the time we was a month in, it seemed like it was like 6 months
because
we was hyper dating.
Yes, and I like Wayne was always talking about how he's great on the grill. He always talks
from
about
St. Louis, man.
St. Louis.
I know how to barbecue.
He knows how to barbecue.
And I'm definitely cold on the grill. Now, I went to your house to barbecue for the first time, and I was like, oh, I can't barbecue. Y'all don't have a barbecue.
We had that propane.
They got them a propane grill out here. And we don't do propane out in the loop.
And it was a nice grill, too. Like, you couldn't tell us nothing about this.
Stainless steel and stuff, bro. Give me a black charcoal grill. They out here with the shiny, got a cover on it and stuff. Like, bro, if you don't get this,
very fancy.
Where's the charcoal? Nah,
it was our
fancy
new grill. You know, you killed it. So he came to the house. Now listen, it was on a Sunday night, Sunday afternoon after church. Mm-hmm. It's my sister's birthday, so all the church people there, like my mom's church friends are there, my sister's church friends are there. It's a mostly women situation. Like I would say 90% women there because my little sister's friends, maybe a couple guys, but mostly women. Older women and young teenagers. So here comes Wayne, right? On the grill.
St. Louis swag.
Everybody, the whole party, because he's just a complete stranger, was like, the amount of people who came up to me, who is that? Who is he? Is he your boyfriend? All of my sister and all her friends was like, who is that fine guy on the grill? I swear to you, it was a whole movie. You didn't know. He has no idea what's happening behind the scenes. Yeah. But it's a whole situation. I'm like, okay, he's my friend. And that's where I was calling him my friend at the time because, when you say boyfriend and they start to ask 1,000 questions, does he know Jesus? And, so I just didn't want to deal with all of that. So I was just like, yeah, he's my friend. But everybody was like sweating this dude, like who? Not to his face, but to me, like, who is he? Oh, I like him. He's nice. Oh, he's polite. Oh, he's a gentleman. And his barbecuing is amazing. Everybody talking about him. It was just so
I knew how to run the grill. You
knew how to run the grill.
Shout out to all the grill masters out there.
Yeah, and everybody has just really loved Wayne ever since, because he never went nowhere.
And then let me see, I brought you home one time.
You did. You brought me to St. Louis.
It was for my grandparents' 50th anniversary party.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yes, so my grandparents were married. R.I.P. to my grandma.
I know.
She passed away a couple years ago.
Such a sweet spirit.
She's the sweetest, but it was their 50th wedding anniversary.
So I met everybody at one time.
Lydia she met her, but I had to come home with a date. So I came home from New York to this party, and I bought my prize winning date. Little arm candy.
And
what?
you made me sing.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I sang a whole song.
I mean, you had to prove yourself while you was there.
At Last by Etta James.
Like, hold on, look, no, y'all. She more than cute. Trust me, she can do something around here.
Yeah.
You killed it that night, and then everybody was in love with you since then.
Man, I remember coming because I remember going to the mall with you to get you an outfit to wear.
Oh, that's when I had the what is this velvet?
What is this velvet?
Velvet suit?
And it had.
Oh no, it's corduroy. Corduroy. It had the corduroy suit
Body
jacket,
and
black corduroy, and then it had the satin
lapel.
Quit playing with your son, man.
You look handsome.
Come on,
I can find that picture too. Scroll back and find that picture on Instagram.
I know how to tap in, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So yeah, and then from there, so you met my parents, and my mama. Oh man! Stop. Oh my God! Oh, you know what?
Shut up!
Would y'all help me find my daddy? 1-800 help me find my daddy. His name Wayne Adams too, y'all. Man.
Wayne is a whole junior.
I'm joking, but I'm serious, man.
For real, we really do need to find him. That would be amazing. We need to find him and document that whole thing. That would be amazing.
We gotta get him on the podcast
because they look just alike.
Y'all gotta get my daddy on the podcast.
I've seen pictures. Man. I'm like, wow, look at Wayne. I would love to meet your daddy. I know you would too.
I would love to meet my daddy. I'm done. This show is over, man. Y'all,
it is over.
Y'all cutting over some wounds, man.
A lot of people can relate to that, though. You know, hey. Shout out to you.
Yeah.
For not keeping the cycle going.
That's a fact. Got to break that cycle.
You know, at least one of our 3 children grew up with both parents. It's growing up with both parents in the house. You know, but you are there for your children. You're like a great father. You take the time and you know, you definitely are breaking the cycle.
I think that's what it takes, you know. I feel like a lot of the men that grew up in my generation, like that didn't have their fathers, they definitely being intentional about being there for their kids.
I see it too. I see it.
Yeah, man, it make a big difference.
This new generation, I mean, like, so many fathers of, you know, you guys' fathers.
Damn.
No, I'm saying, saying like this. So many of our generation's fathers were absent.
Absolutely. You
know, and I'm seeing like you said, all those same young men now that are fathers on their own, doing everything they can to not be that, and that's what it takes. That's what it takes. So shout out to y'all.
Yeah.
For stepping it up. Because you can definitely, you know, psychology is real, and you can definitely just practice learned behavior, and y'all are choosing not to do that. So that's very special.
Hey, man, you can learn from your mistakes, or they say the wise people learn from other people's mistakes.
Yes,
right?
sir.
So
yes.
When you learn from that, you can move forward a little swifter.
Yeah. So. All
right, man.
That's our story. That's how we met.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Hopefully, y'all enjoyed that. I enjoyed
I enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sweetwater.
Shout out to y'all for watching. We're going to see you next Monday.
Married to music.
Hey.
Tune in every Monday.
Why?
Because we trying to get those M's up. Hey.
Music, money,
gang signs.
Hey. Married to music. Hey. We out.